Okay, so I'm putting together a few YouTube videos just to basically catalogue what I'm doing with my car and keep a record of everything I've done, everything I'm gonna do, and hopefully some other people will be interested in it as well. So first up, I'm gonna do an introduction and take you through everything I've done so far, but for now we'll just do a quick recap because I haven't done anything yet to show you what the car is. So it's a Montego estate. Obviously not many of these left. This one, obviously doing some work at the moment, which is why I thought I'd start some filming, but at the moment it's got a T16 turbo out of a Rover coupe in it, which has had lots of work done. Like I said, I will do more videos on this at a later date, which will explain everything. Just do a quick walk around the car just to show you the car, and then I'll explain what I'm doing today. So, as you can see, it's jacked up in the air. So we've been doing the suspension today. So basically it's lowered, or it has been lowered on Motorbuild 1-inch lowering springs, which we found has been way too low. It's been bottoming out everywhere, to the point that the front wheels have actually buckled on potholes and stuff. So I'm doing a really boring thing. I guess I'm getting too old, but I'm trying to raise it up a little bit. Obviously not too much because I still want it to handle well. So we've bought some other suspension, which is a little bit higher without being too high, which I've got laid out here. Currently done the first back corner. I won't be doing the fronts today because I want to get some new top bearings. So we're just doing the rears today. And then I've also bought, but this is for another day, some coilovers out of these are actually off a Golf GTI. And I don't know if these are going to fit or not, but basically having lined them up, they do look a bit too tall, but they might possibly fit. That's a playing for another day thing, but for now we're just going to fit the rear suspension. The first corner's done, so I'm just going to bolt the wheel back up, get that back down on the ground, and then I'm going to do the other side, which we're going to film just as a little how-to guide if anyone else is wanting to do the same. And then that will be done for the day. Take it for a quick test drive and see how it goes. Okay, so that's turned around stupidly quickly. I forget how quick it is myself. I normally drive that, which is a bit slower. Probably upset all the neighbours, but hey ho. Right, so rear suspension change. So first thing to do, before you jack it up, while you still got the weight on the car, is to get the top fixing off. This is the same for all Mastros and Montegos. Only difference is with the Montego, you've got to reach a bit further into the boot. If anyone asks, yes, this is the 7-seater model. Seats are in here. I won't bother putting them up now because I've got all my tools in the way, but I've also got the battery in the boot here. Another modification that I've done, which wouldn't normally be there. So for this you either need a long reach 17 or a Vortex socket set like that, which goes all the way through. Very handy bit of kit. And then the socket is just in there. Just literally undo that. Should be, if it's been apart recently, you might get away with it quite easily. Doesn't look like we're gonna though. It's gonna fight me. So I might have to get the impact wrench on this one. It's just gonna turn it. In which case, I will. So if it's not going to turn freely, there's a flat bit on the top of the spindle. You can get the more grips onto. You can just hold the strut still, and then you can get the socket, the spanner onto the flat in there, which is very tricky. I might just have to pause the video so I can get both hands into it now. Okay, so we've just got that off now. Once you got it cracked off with a nut, it usually just comes off with your fingers anyway. Just need both hands, one to hold the more grips, one to hold the spanner. It's quite awkward getting the spanner at the angle, but you can do it, and once it's done, it all comes off quite easily. So once that's off, you can jack the car up. Might drop out when we jack it up, but that's not a problem because that's what we want. So I've already got the jack in place. See the shock just fell out of its mounting there. Like I say, it's not a problem because that's what I want to happen. And I'll just need to go and find an axle stand, so I'll just go to pause the video a minute. Right, so obviously jacked up, taken the wheel off, didn't bother filming that, quite boring. So you've literally just got one bolt down here. If this hasn't been off in a while, this will be the absolute bane of your life. I had one many years ago, it took me the best part of a day to do. It had literally rusted onto the sleeve inside the shock. This one, obviously, being my car's been apart many times, so I'm hoping it'll come straight out. If you haven't got an impact gun, worth its weight in gold. So hopefully this will come straight out for us. Literally like that. 19mm socket, that one. There's a 17 at the top, I didn't say that earlier, but 19 at the bottom, 17 at the top. And that is the whole shock out, done. And just make sure the bush comes away at the top there because we'll be needing that in a minute. So that's that. We'll take it over to the side and sort that out now. Okay, getting a bit sunny now. Right, so this is the shock that we've removed with the spring. So you'll see down here, this has actually got cable ties on it. That one's already come off. So this is because they're gas shocks. You'll see when I release the pressure, hopefully, if they've still got pressure in them. Try not to make this too boring a video. Me cutting cable ties. There we go. So there we go, you'll see the shock's now come off, so that spring will now effectively jump out the cup. So if you went over a bump or something, that could easily fall out the cup. And obviously if it gets jacked up for an MOT, something like that, that could fall out the cup. Obviously be quite unsafe. So that's why I just cable tie it in, just for safety's sake. So you'll see lots of shocks on here. This is what I bought this second hand off a member of the Maestro Owners Club. So I'm going to reuse my shocks because they're gas shocks. These ones are oil shocks. Apparently gas shocks are meant to be slightly better. They cost me a lot of money, so I'm going to stick with those. Hence I made myself a bit more work. I've got to swap all this over. Otherwise I could have just bolted this straight on the car. So now I've just got to take all this apart. Effectively swap the new springs onto the old shocks. Swap everything over and then bolt it all back onto the car. So it should be quite easy because these are low-end springs. Nothing's compressed, so don't need spring compressors, anything like that. Literally just unscrews by hand. Should all be very easy. Famous last words. Hopefully we'll speed this video up and make it look a bit more interesting. If I can work out how to do video editing. If I can't, it's going to be a slow, boring video of me taking shocks apart. Someone might find it interesting. Yeah, a bit earlier. the new spring we want. I'm also going to use the rubber boot and everything on for this because it's in much better condition. If it's like the last one, this was quite awkward. Oh, it's coming off quite well. Happy days. That went easily. Just grab that out of there so I don't lose it. There we go. Let's get that one off of there, which is going to be very awkward. Find some space now. I am trying to build a workshop. Time and money as usual, right? So this is literally just a press fit. Should just pull off, to be honest, but they're a bit tight. They've been on there a little while. WD-40 will probably do the job, but I'm in a rush because I've got to pick my daughter up from work. So. Really doesn't want to come off of it. Got quite a bit of surface rust on it and it doesn't want to come off. Fortunately these shocks aren't that old, but they have sent about a year sat on the driveway, which is why they got a bit of surface rust on them. You might think, why am I not using a hammer? Because I don't really want to put too much force on the shock. So I'm just tapping this and taking my time. Really, I shouldn't have to do this. This should just pull off, but obviously there's a bit of surface rust on it. You'll see on the other shock I did, it literally just pulled off. There we go. Right, that's off now. So, first thing to do is just put the bellows on to protect it. If I can find the hole, but we won't turn this into a carry-on film. There we go. I'll put that back on, which should take ages to get off. Almost not worth the hassle. Make sure that's flat. Pull it back up to meet it. There we go. Right, so you see that's all flush up to meet it now. That is ready for the spring to go on. So, there's spring on. This is where we start to deviate from standard slightly. as I said earlier, if we don't zip tie it on, it's not going to stay in the cup because these are shorter springs than standard springs. If you were just doing standard springs, you wouldn't have to do this. But as you will learn, there is nothing standard about my cars. I've already drilled the holes in these, so it's dead easy. If you have to do this yourself, you might just have to drill some holes in. If you do that, just a little dab of paint on it just to make sure it doesn't rust. Although, to be honest, the springs, the shocks will probably need replacing before they ever rust. So I wouldn't stress too much on that one. And don't be tempted, you'll see there are some holes already in there, don't be tempted to use those because they are for draining out water, stop water collecting and it rusting. If you block those up with a cable tie, they become useless, and then your shocks will rust out before they get to the end of their life. So drill fresh holes if you're doing this. Right, so that's the bottom of that one. Time for the top hat. I'm going to use my old top hat on this one because it's in quite good condition. It's already got the holes drilled. Saves me having to drill any more holes again. That simply just slots on. You'll see there it kind of lines up. And again, you'll see this is where it could literally fall out because it's not meeting there. So I think I'll get the zip ties in first. Some people might think this is a bodge job, but if you can find a better way of doing it than zip ties, let me know. It's cheap, it's simple, and it works. Just literally needs to go under the first coil. Don't need to be anything extravagant. It's not really going to be under any pressure, it's just literally to hold it when it gets jacked up. Compress that slightly. Now we can line it up. Make sure that spring's sitting in there perfectly, which it is. Perfect. Obviously, because you're not compressing the spring, you're just compressing the shock, you can easily do it by hand. Doesn't take too much pressure. Probably overkill doing two, but just spreads the load evenly. So chop the loose ends off, make it tidy. All done. That is pretty much ready to go back on the car. We just got to put this sleeve on. So on the Maestro Montegos, you got a little spacer, metal spacer. You got the bush. Seen better days. I'm going to look out for a new one, I think. And that just screws on there to hold it all in place. It's a fine thread, so it takes forever to screw on. So probably not the most exciting video, but I shall do some more exciting videos of the car driving, and got a few shows and stuff coming up as well. Hopefully there'll be some more exciting videos, but this might be useful to someone if they've ever got to change their suspension. So that is that, ready to go back on the car. So as they say in Haynes, reverse sequence to removal. So we just line it up to do the bottom bolt first, And we go on top and do the top. The only thing that I'm going to do, because I haven't taken the top bushing out yet. So just on the top there, you should have a metal washer and the rubber bush. Just take those out of the way so we don't knock them out. If you knock them, they'll fall in between the plastic trim and you'll never get them back out. Basically, you'll end up having to remove the whole plastic trim, which will probably add another hour onto your job. So you don't want to do that. You filming?
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have said that you filming. Oh, we're professional at this. YouTube is meant to be amateur hour though, isn't it? So this is the most awkward bit, is lining the bolt up. Touch wood, it seems to be going alright. First time. Straight in, happy days. So that's the bottom bolt lined up. It can be very awkward to line up sometimes, but we've got the bolt's got a kind of tapered edge on it, so it will just find its way in usually. And you'll see obviously the top is loose, but all lined up in place. So hopefully when we go to the top of the car, that will be there waiting for us. Okay, so I'm just going to bolt the wheel on. That means that I can lower it down, which puts the pressure on. Makes it a lot easier to do the top bolt, because with the pressure on it's less likely to spin the spindle on the shock, which you saw earlier meant that I had to use the mold grips and everything. With the pressure on it and the weight on it, hopefully I won't have to do that, and I can just do it straight with my vortex socket set. Makes life a hell of a lot easier and a lot quicker, which is good because I don't think I've got very long before I've got to pick my daughter up from work. Okay, so we're back in the boot now. Obviously everything's done down the bottom, so we've just got the top bolt to do. So you've got your rubber spacer and then your metal washer to go on the top. So literally just drop that. In this case they're stuck together. If they weren't, you could do the rubber bit first, then the metal spacer, but hopefully they will just slide straight on top. The plastic trim is slightly in the way here, but we will struggle it on there. Always awkward when you're getting filmed, but that's gone on there now. Then you've got one 17mm nut, which will literally just spin on the top. Use a normal socket for now just to get it started. And then because of the depth of it, you either need a long reach socket, or like I say, if you've got a vortex socket set, you can use that. Just to finish it off. And you might need the spanner to lock it, but hopefully we can get that tight enough, which we can in this case. Hopefully you can see on the video that is tight enough, and that is done. So now we'll see what the height is sitting at. Hopefully it's gone up quite a bit and we won't keep bottoming out. Ooh, still got the jack on. Let's take the jack out completely. That looks a bit too high, but we'll see how it goes. Definitely looking higher. Possibly a bit too high, but I think it's a bit too high. Let's see how it goes. Might have to go the coilovers and find something in between, I think, but see how it drives. Be nice not to hit speed humps.